We is now streaming to the internet there. Hey there, hi there, ho there, internet land.
You're here to abuse your ears again.
Yes. Oh, I know what trailer. Before we came online, we were talking about what trailers dropped. It was the Wreck-It Ralph trailer.
I saw that.
Looks pretty good. I actually have screen caps and stuff from it. But that's neither here nor there. Let's see. I'm pretty sure this week we're going to follow up what we did last week with toxic fandom, or as Alistair calls them, fan muffins. Fan muffins, really? Fan babies, or fan babies, man babies.
Do you want me to tell you what it means? Because we're going to go straight into that mature rating.
No, we're fine. I mean, we'll let people go look it up on the Urban Dictionary. Trying to think what else. There's the toxic fandom, which just keeps rearing its ugly head every single day. A couple of new trailers dropped, and I don't know. We'll just do that opener, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Hey, Firefly in the chat. Giggity, giggity. All right.
Hey, yeah.
We'll be right back.
The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. The opinions expressed do not reflect this station or any affiliated partners. Listener discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Geek EZ.
Short and sweet. Hey, good thing is my work schedule should be easing up on me just a little bit, where I'll be able to start working on other things again.
Yay!
Because I'm coming into the home stretch for deadlines and stuff. So,
Tish.
where do we want to start? Do we want to start with Kelly Tran stuff?
Well, I think we should start on something maybe a bit more positive.
Okay, then how about Wreck-It Ralph? Because I really liked that trailer. I really liked the first movie.
Fun fact, I haven't seen the trailer. I also haven't seen the movie.
Really? You need to see Wreck-It Ralph.
The film was good.
Why are you so annoying?
Why does everything I touch get better? By the way, Alistair, where the hell's the stupid mutant?
Well, I don't know where you are. It could be in any number of places.
Stupid mutant.
He's playing the last available mission for Victory's life.
Ew. Any good?
Yeah.
Dude, there is a mission in this game now that is straight up better than any episode of DS9.
Or at the very least, it's equal to, well,
Do you remember the episode, The Magnificent Ferengi?
Yes.
There is a mission in the game now called Quark's Lucky 7. And it's basically The Magnificent Ferengi Part 2. Where they're... I'm not going to spoil anything, but basically it's your character not doing anything. You're literally playing Quark, Nog, Rom, Lita, Lek, and that's it. You play your character for all of like 45 seconds. And it is really, really well done. It's like playing an episode.
It really is.
Well then.
Quite entertaining.
Excellent. One of these days I'll get back on there. I have not played Stowe. Pretty sure the last time I played Stowe, we were dancing on tables ages ago.
Probably.
That would have been the last time. Played a little Battlefront today.
Sorry.
No, Battlefront, you know what, though? Visually, that game just rocks. And I gotta say, the Battle of Crate that I was playing actually is better than the third act of The Last Jedi.
Well, unfortunately, it seems that they're abandoning that game, so...
What, Battlefront 2?
Yeah.
Who's abandoning it?
EA.
When did this happen?
It's been leaked for weeks now. Because the only thing they're really releasing is basically recycled content from the first game now.
Yeah.
It's basically a black mark on them, and they're wanting to move away from it.
I gotta say, I mean, it's for what it is, for a shoot 'em up, spawn and die. It's, I mean, I did not buy it full price, so I'm happy there. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, you can't defeat something you can't see.
You know, what was it? I was talking to my son about playing games, and they're really into, both my sons are into playing the Transformers Devastation game, and when I really think about it, I mean, they're loving it. They love the whole G1 Transformer thing about it. But the game really is short. I'm glad I got it on sale, because I've played that game through. I've gone from beginning to end in that game, all the way through 3 times, and it's less than, what was it, 4 hours of gameplay when you add it all up. And they wanted $60 for that game originally. I was like, $60 for 4 hours? Yeah, no. And then you get like the Batman games, the Arkham games, which take, what, 70, 80 hours to burn through if you're a casual gamer. They're ridiculous. It's like, I can't get past the smoke. But, that's
It's like
neither
I
here nor
can't
there.
find the stupid mutant to kill it.
Stupid mutant. Mutants. Well, you know what? Let's talk Bumblebee, because that was a big one that came out, and that actually tickled me when I saw it. And I don't know why it tickled me as much, because when it came down to the Transformers movies, the first one is the only one that actually is an okay film. They really all devolved from there into just mindless, who knows what. It's Michael Bay at his best. The story is just thin enough to keep the whole thing moving along, so he can put explosions in. And how he got Anthony Hopkins to play in the last one, I will never know. But Bumblebee. That guy right there. Wow, they're moving pretty quick.
The Transformer that rickrolled the world.
Yeah, that was probably the best part of the trailer, but it's the visual aspect of Bumblebee that really got me. I was like, it's Bumblebee. He actually looks like a Transformer. He doesn't look like the crazy little mishmash of parts that just happens to string together into a humanoid form. That needs a Volkswagen again, for at least a little bit. It looks like he turns into a Jeep as well. If you're watching the stream, there be Starscream right there, possibly Thrust, because he also is red. But I'm digging the bee thing. And it's funny that they chose Bumblebee to be the character they're going to go with.
Sorry,
What?
I'm sighing not because of that. Although I don't think that's... Yeah, I'm not too keen on that film.
What, Bumblebee?
Yeah.
He's sighing because I think he has to restart the entire mission.
What's funny is I see, there was some article where they were comparing, could Bumblebee the next Shape of Water? Unless the 15-year-old girl decides to have sex with her car, I highly doubt it.
That could lead to some awkward questions.
Yes. Because you know what? For all the accolades that Shape of Water got, I found the movie to be kind of meh. Don't know. It was just meh. I don't know what everybody was seeing in that movie.
Hot aqua sex.
But it wasn't even. There wasn't even anything
I don't know. I didn't see it.
overtly. It's just, I don't know. It just kind of. It was like Beauty and the Beast wrapped up with the Creature of the Black Lagoon, and it was kind of weird. But then again, Del Toro's movies are usually kind of weird. It's like everybody loved Pan's Labyrinth, and I thought it was probably the most boring movie he's ever made. Yeah, that sure looks like Starscream. It's got John Cena in it. It can't be all bad, right?
Debatable.
John Cena! He just looks like he looks closer to the G1 Bumblebee than ever. Just they covered him, which is awesome. I mean, his feet are actually the front end of the car, or part of the front end of the car, the way it's kind of supposed to be. I don't know. I just don't know. What else dropped? Lego Movie dropped too. Lego Movie 2.
Where the trailer became self-aware of the fact of what happened in the first movie.
Well, wasn't he always self-aware of? I mean, he kind of knew something was going on, right?
Not he, but the actual film itself. So it's like, you did everything, and he got all the credit?
Oh, yes. But at the end, he became a master builder. He was the special. I don't understand where they're going with this, where all of a sudden he's back to being stupid.
Because it's him?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's also from the perspective of a child.
Oh, yes.
It's the kid that's running it, not him.
You know, I was kind of hoping when they did the Batman one that they would keep that aspect of it, but they didn't. Because they kind of kept it with the Ninjago one, which I haven't seen all the way through yet. I mean, we own it. I've seen it when we went to Legoland. They had it playing on an endless loop. You could just turn the channel on and, hey, look, it's the Lego movies. But I never got to watch the Ninjago film all the way through. And now we're on the 4th Lego movie. It's like, hey, look, we got another franchise that we're going to have to follow now. So. Okay, guys, talk, because I'm talking way too much.
He just kept talking in one incredibly unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic so that no one could have a chance to interrupt. It was really quite hypnotic.
Well done.
Throw some Ralph images up there. Did I have Ralph images up there already? I don't know if I did. I'm glad they went a different route with Ralph, where they didn't just try to rehash the first one, where he actually gets out there into the world. But the product placement in this trailer, aside from all the Disney stuff, you got Google, Facebook, Snapchat. What was it? What was the other ones I saw? There were little ones thrown in there here and there. It was just like, holy cow! How did they get all of these companies to agree to be? It's kind of like trying to get like Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny in the same movie.
Which has happened.
Yeah, and do you know that technically they could have sued? Warner Brothers could have sued.
Why?
Because Mickey Mouse is on screen for 0.0 something seconds longer than Bugs Bunny. They only agreed to allow Bugs to be on screen with Mickey. Warner Brothers did. For one, they were not allowed to use the 1930s look of Bugs Bunny, which they kind of did anyway. And the same with Daffy Duck. They're like, it has to be modern Daffy. And they're like, no, this movie takes place in the 40s. We can't use modern Daffy. It has to be Daffy from then. So they did up sketches of modern Daffy, but animated the original Daffy. And when the movie came out, I guess Warner Brothers didn't say anything. But the whole deal was Mickey and Bugs had to have equal screen time. And
they really did, though.
Yeah, Mickey is on. If you want to get technical, Mickey is on screen for a little longer because he appears first, he disappears first, but Bugs is not there as long as Mickey was on screen first. Mickey has just a hair longer time. I mean, we're talking like minuscule microseconds, but
yes,
if you want to get technical.
But to be technical, Bugs did more.
True. Ain't I a stinker? I love that movie. I loved that movie when it came out. I still enjoy watching it. And I really wish they had. I really wish they had done the sequel to it before Hoskins died.
They should do the son of Eddie.
You know what I heard floating around rumor-wise? That it's still out there that possibly the Matt Reeves Batman movie. I am jumping all over the place right now. Ben Affleck is going to do it. That he wants to stay being Batman. I was like, what? Ben Affleck's going to be in there? And they're talking the Penguin's going to be the bad guy, and who's going to be the Penguin? I'm like, oh, come on, guys. And then there's like the Joker movie that got announced, and another Suicide Squad movie, and can't we just get a Man of Steel too?
Eventually. Maybe.
Very much hoping that Aquaman just rocks so much. Hoping. But
sorry, I'm not very talkative right now. I do have to
okay.
do this stupid mission.
Haven't heard from Wolfie yet.
Yeah, you did.
I was playing Skyrim, but it just mysteriously closed on me without any sort of error message or anything.
Welcome to Skyrim.
Whole game just took an arrow to the knee.
Yeah, it means they got married, right?
I know exactly what it means, but it just sounds
That
funny.
means you've taken an arrow to the knee.
I have taken an arrow to the knee. Everybody's playing games except for me. I would play games, but I got all this other stuff I got to control. I would stream it. I'd get on there and just let people see how bad I am at playing games.
See that one? If I would like to get a new computer, and so I can do more stuff for the Geek EZ. I mean, because quite frankly, this computer really can't do much anymore.
Isn't your computer only a year younger than mine, or a year older than mine?
It's yes, but the hardware was older when I got it.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't top of the line at the time. Decent, but not top of the line.
And I've upgraded mine here and there. I got a new graphics card, a new thing. I just added some USB 3 ports and stuff like that. But my motherboard's still the same.
See, to really get anywhere hardware-wise, I have to completely replace the motherboard, the processor, graphics card, the RAM. So at this point, it'd be better off to get a new system. So
Pretty cheaper. Still playing Skyrim there, Wolfie?
No, like I said, the game just mysteriously quit on me.
Well, here, we've talked some good stuff now, and let's get into the other stuff.
Oh, yes, because there's plenty that can be discussed.
Well, there's still the negativity, and every time you turn around, negative ads about Solo. And it's how much Solo sucks, and how many of the... I mean, I'm just curious, how many people actually saw it that are saying this, or are they just taking what critics said? And even the critics weren't that bad to it.
critics honestly said it was pretty good. Well, the reviews I've seen.
I mean, it's fun. It's slightly predictable, but it's a fun movie.
It's a good film.
It's just getting shredded by people, and I'm like, guys, we get it. You didn't like The Last Jedi, and you know what? I posted this earlier on in a group chat that I was on Facebook. I watched The Last Jedi again 2 days ago, or 2 days ago, and I can guarantee in within 5 years, 6 years after the movie's been there and it's been ruminating and stuff, that it will be considered one of the better Star Wars movies. Because it doesn't spell it all out for you. It's not all right there on the surface. It's not fluff and candy. There is a lot going on in that movie that I don't think people caught, which is still why people are flipping out. And it's more the aspect of we didn't get the Luke Skywalker that was in the books. Which I'm kind of glad we didn't.
I'm disappointed, but I can live with it.
There were little things like that end. He should have knocked those AT-ATs down. They should have just dropped. That would have been at least a little bit where it was like, okay, you know what? It shows how powerful he really is. But when I went back and I watched it this time, I'm really listening to what he was talking about the Jedi and how they really were. And if you go back and watch from episode 1 all the way through, the Jedi's legacy is failure. It really is. It was on their watch that all the bad stuff happened. It was on the Jedi's watch that the Sith Empire rose.
I also think it's an oversimplification because he's still working without all the details. He's also very down on himself because, oh, I failed. And that was Yoda's point. You're supposed to.
Yeah, but, okay. You're looking at a guy who was very Mary Sue-ish from the get-go, or Gary Stu, came through, was had it thrust on him as, okay, you're a Jedi, you're the son of a Jedi, you going through the emotional aspect of your father was murdered, nope, your father's the bad guy. You had to face down the ultimate evil in the universe, and you didn't even end him, it was your dad that did it. You get all the credit for it, your dad's dead. You find out you have a sister that you didn't know. You go through all of this, people look to you as a symbol, and all he really was a farm boy from Tatooine. So yeah, I can understand how having that all built up and probably believing his own hype, because he did say that. He goes, because I was Luke Skywalker, I could do this. And then it all crashed and crumbled around him. So I was like, okay, yeah, that would kind of bring me down a little bit too. Now, with some of it was a little stilted here and there. Compared to like Empire or something like that. The flow was a little different. But I really think that it will be looked upon as a much better film than it is right now in a few years.
Yeah, well, Solo's still being lambasted.
It is.
And Penny Arcade even commented on it with a on-point comic.
Is that the one you posted where the two guys, he's like, well, I just read it on the internet from people I don't know, so I'm going to trust them.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's Gabe and Tycho.
Yeah, and it's true. It's like, because of the fan muffins out there, the fan babies, and everybody else who didn't get their way, and because it wasn't their movie and it wasn't their Star Wars, they're going to poo-poo on everything that comes out, and they're going to blame Kathleen Kennedy because, oh, well, it's now it's all SJW stuff and all this women's stuff. And it's like, well, guys, women are people too, man. There are going to be female protagonists, and you're just going to have to get over that.
Oh, my God. So, remember, was it last week that I commented about the whole don't attack Kennedy, don't attack people in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, that exploded. I don't know if you saw it. I know I mentioned it.
What?
About the whole...
Kelly Tran stuff?
No, not that. I didn't comment on that. I was commenting on somebody had posted an image about Mickey Mouse saying the next thing I see in the newspaper is Kathleen Kennedy's resignation. And it's like, no, that's not funny, and it's just an attack, so I removed it, and then I posted a blog basically stating, don't do it.
Yeah.
And it went up to 100 and some odd posts. And yes, Wolfie, you are here, but I don't see you doing anything.
Yes. Wolfie's having mic issues again.
Anyway.
So it blew up on you on DeviantArt?
Yeah, there's people who thought I was bringing personal politics into it. And I was like, no!
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
It's like we literally have a rule in that group to not use the group to personally attack anybody.
There's one guy who hit me with walls of text, and finally, because I just basically said, look, no, it was a direct response to somebody putting stuff in here, and your point that they are losing money is not backed up by actual fact. I have some decent fact to back up my opinion. And I added it up. They've made, from 4 films since 2015, $4.666 billion. They've made back their investment. Just from the films alone. And we're not even talking about any of the merchandise or previous films. So don't give me some bull crap about the domestic take or any shit like that. Or about how they're losing money on the merchandise. Well, maybe they are, because they're not putting out good stuff.
Yeah,
that has nothing to do with...
Yeah. The merchandising has definitely been bleh. And it's not that I wouldn't buy any of it. It's just Hasbro has kind of, same with their
Slacked
Transformers line, they slacked off. It's just like they figured, oh, we can put anything out there and people will buy it. And that's not true. That really
And it's not
isn't
happening.
true. And it's not, yeah.
Well, I will say I loved Solo, but there's two huge problems with it. One I can't discuss because it's a spoiler, but the other one is the standard problem you have with any prequel. There are certain characters in that movie that you know they can't do certain things with.
Yep. Happens
Also-
to every prequel.
I have talked to the friend. He hasn't spoiled anything for me. But what I find amusing is that all those people who consistently bitched and moaned about getting rid of the EU are boycotting the film that literally shouts out the entire EU.
Oh my God. There is so much of the EU thrown in there. Little tiny things like here and there. I was like, whoop, check that out. Whoop, check that out. You can literally, it's checklist. But this is where I'm going to say this right here to all those guys. If anybody's listening out there and they're all poo-pooing Kathleen Kennedy, did you like Raiders of the Lost Ark? What about Poltergeist, E.T., The Twilight Zone, Gremlins, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, The Color Purple? That's an Academy Award winner right there. Let's see, Back to the Futures, The Goonies, An American Tail for all of you who watched it as a kid, The Money Pit, Empire of the Sun, another great movie, Land Before Time. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? We were just talking about. Guess what she produced? Executive producer on almost every one of those movies. She was an associate producer on Raiders. So I'm pretty sure she knows what she's doing.
Disney's happy with what she's doing.
Jurassic Park. Oh, wait, what was she? The executive producer. An executive producer on that movie.
But apparently she's a frothing at the mouth SJW. And I had that thrown at me. I'm like, I have no idea if she actually did the shit that you guys say she did. Because they're claiming things like, she is insulting the fans and basically, taunting them, like, bring it on. It's like, people, you guys are attacking her. And if she and her staff are responding back, what the hell do you think was going to happen? They are human too.
Yeah, and the idea that you're going after somebody who has been an executive producer on some of the greatest movies and claiming she doesn't know what she's doing. She has been with Lucasfilm since almost the beginning of its life. She has been there.
She was picked.
She
was picked by Lucas, right?
She was picked by Lucas because she knew what she was doing. And you also have to remember, she is a woman in the man's world that is Hollywood. And Hollywood is fighting tooth and nail to keep that. And she's like, no. And I understand that. She's like, we need female characters to come forward and be there. I mean, it was just like the Kelly Tran stuff. People jumping all over. Rose was like the worst thing, and you should kill. The fact that you are throwing death threats at an actor for a character they portrayed that you just don't like is ridiculous.
You want to argue about the character itself not being all that great. Okay, that's fair. But it has nothing to do with the actual actress.
Nope, not at all. And this is where, yeah, I mean, it's past fan muffin at that point. They're not even fans at that point anymore. You can't call yourself a fan and do that kind of stuff because a fan enjoys all aspects of something. That is what a fan is. You're a fanatic about something, and it's usually on a good side. You're taking the fanatic and making it radical. And it's ridiculous. And it's really, really hard to, I mean, social media has this, it's the downfall of this kind of stuff because social media gave a voice to all these idiots. It's like, you don't want to see a movie and no one's forcing you to watch these movies. That's what gets me. No one is holding a gun to your head and say, you have to see the new Star Wars movie. No one said it. You don't want to watch it? Don't watch it. Go read your books. They're still there. They're still out there. You can. Last time I looked, Kathleen Kennedy didn't walk in your house with a flamethrower and burn all your books. And if she did, well, it's probably because you threatened her.
It's just baffling.
Throat punch.
And it just, like I said, the whole thing, the fact it exploded on the fan club. When I try to point, it's like that's not the purpose of this club. You know, we're here to bring in good creative, good creative vibes and things like that. Yeah, you want to discuss that's fair. Just open discussion, civil debate. But there were some people that were straight up just. There's one of them I know was kind of aggressively trolling, whatever. It was highly annoying. And I just don't get it. Because it's not that big a deal, guys.
And I'm just judging by our reaction to this, that it's really hard for people who, I mean, like myself, and I'm sure you guys, who are fans, who can see there are bad aspects to things. And I know for myself, I enjoyed Solo. I actually, after multiple viewings, are really starting to enjoy The Last Jedi more than when I first walked out. I will not lie that when I walked out of that film the first time, it was like that. It was kind of like I had with The Phantom Menace. Even though I know for The Phantom Menace, when I actually thought about it, it's like, I don't think I really liked that much. I did the same thing with The Last Jedi, but then I saw it a couple more times, and I was like, you know what? That was actually really good. And it keeps getting better every time I view it. And it was just like, yeah, it's all good. And when you have this toxic aspect of it, and all of these people frothing at the mouth, and the only ones frothing at the mouth are this group of people, this group of fans. And I'm sorry, I highly doubt with the amount of money that these 4 Star Wars movies have made since The Force Awakens came out. That was a monstrous amount of money. It's not Marvel money, but it's still a lot of money these movies have made. That they're a minority, a very vocal, loud, obnoxious minority, but they're the minority.
They are the minority, and that was even pointed out to me. It's like anybody who complains about this, I've seen on YouTube, I've seen their subscribers skyrocket up to 40 to 50,000. I'm like, and they don't care. Because those numbers don't matter.
Yeah,
well, it really doesn't matter.
These sort of people will do anything and say anything to delude themselves into thinking that their point of view is justified. And I can give kind of an example that's actually it's not Star Wars related, but it is kind of related to the Geek EZ. I won't name the person or the particular group in this particular case, but there was a group that I'm in on Facebook, and the person posted a picture of everybody's favorite Star Cruiser and said the only reason this ship was chosen was because of its aerodynamic nature, which makes absolutely no sense in space. And I'm like, one, I interviewed the people who selected that ship. I interviewed the people who redesigned that ship. And I'm personal friends with the man who designed the original concept. That is not in any way, shape, or form the reason it was chosen. It was chosen because it looked like the actual evolution of the D and the E. Well, no, that sort of stuff. They'll do
point me in the right direction. I'll take him on.
No, I would rather not.
Okay. And I can say, yeah, the only reason it was chosen because it was chosen so they could. I mean, it gave them something to jump from.
I could tell you exactly where that post is and who wrote it, but like Alistair, I'm not going to.
Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure my comments were removed.
Oh.
This person created this particular group simply to complain about Star Trek.
Now, I honestly, I mean, no one hates Star Trek or Star Wars more than Star Wars or Star Trek fans. I've come to that conclusion.
Yeah, you aren't the only one who's made that same.
Yeah, it's like
reference.
if you really hate something, I mean, what kind of life are you living, where every day all you can do is seethe at the thing that you supposedly like? I mean, we had the prequel haters, and then now we have the sequel haters, and it was like, I'm going to come right out and say it. The original 3 Star Wars movies, aside from Empire, are B movies.
Yeah.
With really good special effects. The first
storytelling isn't that great.
Yeah. I mean, Jedi, I mean, the Jedi and A New Hope, or Star Wars as I like to call it, are if you don't watch what's on screen and you just listen to it, it's cheesy. It is really cheesy, and it goes the same with the Star Trek movies and the Star Trek TV shows. It's really difficult to go back and watch some of the early seasons of The Next Generation because it's actually kind of dated now. And I think more dated than some of the TOS stuff, even though visually TOS is dated, the storylines are a little more poignant compared to some of the early season stuff of The Next Generation. But it all has a cheese factor to it. And now we've got Discovery, which, in my opinion, I think the reality, because there was a big article written up on that recently on how they dropped the idealism to go for realism, which Star Trek for me is the idealism is what sold Star Trek. It was that we can get past this. That by that point in history or the future, that mankind will have gotten past a lot of that kind of stuff. And they're saying Discovery is bringing it back down. I'm like, well, that's not why I watch sci-fi. I watch sci-fi to take me away because I don't want to be here. Here, it sucks sometimes. And it was like, I don't want to be here. I want to be there. I want to see. I want that light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm hoping the light at the end of the tunnel stays in Star Trek with Discovery, and they leave that light there so people can move towards it.
And that is not a train.
No, it's not a train. I'm really it's the light that shows that we can move past this ridiculousness.
I will say I've always felt TOS, the characters from the beginning are far better developed than when TNG starts.
Oh, so much better.
Because TNG, Roddenberry, especially in the first season, he went for that whole, there's no conflict between humans thing anymore. And
it's boring.
You can't develop characters that way. You end up with the one-dimensional stuff you see in season 1 of TNG.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yeah, it is boring. That's never going to go away, though. You know what? Conflict is always going to be there. But except I know a lot of people say, how can you be a conservative? Because I am. I'm a conservative person. How can you be conservative and like Star Trek? Because it's a socialist utopia. It is, but it isn't. Because when I hear the word socialist, my brain instantly goes to Marx, and it's not a Marxist society. It's a different type of society. We've moved past the ideological idiosyncrasies, learned to accept it all, and realize that we're not alone in the universe. That's what Star Trek is about. But the conflicts between individuals is always going to be there. People don't, not everybody's going to walk around going happy, joy, joy, and singing jingles. It's not going to be Demolition Man. That will never happen. Because the only way you're going to get that to happen, if there is, you make it illegal to literally not be happy all the time. Which is what they did in that movie, and that society sucked. Because conflict is necessary. Conflict is how you work problems out. If you have a problem with somebody, you talk to them. You don't go punch them in the throat. You could, but it's not going to get you anywhere. Hopefully you get past all that and you can talk. Will it be heated and yelling? Sure. I just feel bad for Kelly Tran. I feel the fact that she wiped her social media stuff because these idiots just death threats. You realize she's not Rose, right?
Yeah, this is not the first time we've seen this happen, though. This happened with the female Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
People are just... I'm not going to say fans, because you're not a fan if you're busy lambasting and threatening with, their lives. You're just an asshole.
My issues with the female Ghostbusters have nothing to do with the concept.
It was the execution.
It was execution. For one thing, there was no reason to reboot completely. None. And that caused half the problems with the execution. They changed some of the basic ideas of the Ghostbuster universe.
You know what? That's their property. That was the same point that I made in regards to Star Wars. It's their property. They can do what they want. We don't have to like it, and I don't.
Oh,
it is what it is. We can always disagree with it, but does that require you to go to the point of threatening, the people that actually did the work? Of course not. You're just an idiot. Not you.
No, I will criticize the execution. I don't like the fact that they restarted it, but if they had restarted it and done it right, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. The problem is they assembled what, in my opinion, was a amazing cast, but they didn't give them much to work with.
A little hamstrung, sure.
I've always been one to laugh when I heard the word toxic masculinity. Because I was like, well, what's so toxic about being masculine? I mean, I would consider what is masculine? What is not?
Well, it's because there's a difference between masculinity and toxic masculinity, but that's not really the point of
that's
discussion.
True. That's not point. No, but when it comes down to the because I'm going to say, I don't think I've ever seen a woman complain about The Last Jedi. I don't think I have ever seen a female Star Wars fan.
Female. Did you compare Ferengi all of a sudden?
Yes. Really? Did it stretch out? Because I didn't say that.
You stretched it out just a little bit.
Okay. Well, I've never seen a female, woman, girl, anybody complain about even The Force Awakens or Rogue One. There have never been women complaining that I've seen. They might have
seen a few.
Have you seen them as toxic as some of these other people?
Actually, hold on. No, wait. The person I'm thinking about was complaining about Discovery. Never mind.
Okay.
I've seen some generalized complaints, but they're usually along the lines of what took them so long to put women in.
Okay, yes, that's fine. But when it comes down to this toxicity that's out there, it's almost as if someone challenged their manhood, I mean, it's like, I mean, when I joke about and I keep putting it's like, show me on the doll where Star Wars hurt you, because I have that meme and I have it ready to go. Whenever I see somebody go off on the deep end when it comes to complaining about Star Wars, I'll post that photo and I get a lot of ha-has and giggles and likes, and then they come back at me with the ad hominem attacks and all that kind of stuff and attack me. I'm like, what are you attacking me for? I actually like who I am.
Well, the problem is, and this is a problem in geek culture in general, is as it has become more and more mainstream, these people, these men or boys, whatever you want to call them, that this was their domain for so long, it was very hard for them to push back against the jocks that were suddenly being included. But they feel they can push back against women because they feel that women want to fundamentally change aspects of this culture they enjoy. I think it's ridiculous.
They need to get over it.
Oh yeah, they completely need to get over it. I'm not in favor of any of that. They can go suck an egg.
Yeah. When it comes down, I mean, I've always been one I'm right there with you, because I understand where that's coming from, because for the longest time being a geek meant that you had no girlfriend, and there was like you almost like you had leprosy. It was like no one wanted to be around you of the fairer sex, as it would be. And
it's that whole milady culture,
Yeah.
I can't wear a fedora now because it's been poisoned by these guys.
Yeah, it's an ugly hat anyway.
But you know what? If we really want to take this and get it down to the point, how about we get Kathleen Kennedy in a room with all of you guys? We'll get a ruler and we'll fix this.
She might win.
That's what I'm thinking. She's going to, because it was just like, are you that insecure with who you are as a man that a female Jedi or a female character Rose was a very female character. Rose was very heart on her sleeve. She was a woman. She wasn't Rey, where she was trying. She wasn't a Mary Sue at all. She was a woman. She was a woman just fighting in that aspect of things. But it was like the attack Kelly Tran. I mean, right down to the fact that her looks, her body shape, her body size, and that is projecting, instantly projecting, and all it does is say, okay, yes, and okay, I'm sitting in my mom's basement, and I weigh, and no offense to anybody in here, because even though I've lost weight, I know we're a bunch of larger guys in here, but it was this whole, I feel bad about myself, so therefore I have to attack you.
Yeah, and it's like I said, even Penny Arcade's gotten discussed it, and just to kind of go through it real quick, it's like one side saying it's very good. I don't know. Have you seen the domestic take? One of those points that people like to throw out. It's like, why do you care? Since when are you? Why do you care? You get nothing out of the domestic take, regardless. Is it some kind of, I don't know, measuring contest? If it makes X amount of dollars, I don't see that point. Yeah, it's not making as much as it could. You want to argue about diminished returns? Sure, that's a fair conversation piece to have. But to use that as your basis for, no, I'm not going to see it because it's not making that much money, that's stupid. If you're using that as some kind of explanation as to why you don't want to see it, it's like, well, clearly it's not very good because people aren't going to see it. That's why the money's not there. That's why it's not making as much. All right, I could see your logic there, but that's not what you're doing. Your point is, did you see the domestic take? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. You get nothing out of that. Do you want to see it or not? Yes, no. No, fine, done. That's all you need to do. But the comic goes further, and he's like, didn't you hear about all the problems they had on the set? They needed an acting coach and things like that. And it comes down to the last panel where they're bruised and bloodied, and finally he's like, look, it's simple. At the end of the day, I only like popular things. I heard some things I can't prove from someone I don't know, and god damn it, that's enough for me. It's like you're back on, in high school. And it's a stupid reasoning. If you don't like it because you have a perception about it, all right, that's on you, but you don't, that's not a basis for fact. That's nothing to work off of. So there's a lot of facepalm going on. And we've been doing this for a while. We keep talking about this stupid topic because it keeps coming up. The hell's wrong with you people?
But, I think it needs to be talked about because
it does.
I think the majority of fans out there are sick of it. We're sick of it, and it needs to be addressed. These guys need to be called out. There needs to be something, some kind of policing has to be done on this to this point because it's getting out of control.
Well, it's like I can't put into words here what I had a second ago. It's like, Bleh!
What, was I the target of this kind of toxicity? Sure I was. When the Enterprise F won, when I won that contest, holy cow, I got death threats.
Why would you get death threats over that? That doesn't make any sense.
Because people are stupid.
Well, true, as well we've covered.
I actually had to take my email address off my Facebook page because people were emailing me really unhappy, nasty stuff. And it was like, you're a hack, you're this, you're a cheat, you're a professional designer, how you shouldn't have been able to win. I think there was one or two where they actually threatened physical harm on me, but it was like, I wasn't worried about it. It's like, you don't know where I live, you don't know who I am, but it was like, whatever. I would go through and I would lurk in some of the forums and stuff that are out there. Star Trek Online's forum being probably the worst. There were a few others that were pretty bad. The Star Trek BBS, thank God, was not. They were actually very, very. A lot of people were very congratulatory and kind of happy to see where it went. There's still a few naysayers here and there. No big deal. But again, it's an aspect of my life that's 8 years past now, and it's done and over with. I've moved on.
And people love the hell out of that ship.
Yeah, and it's just like people can't move on. It's the discovery. Well, we got a female protagonist. Now everybody's trying to make everything female. No.
What's the problem even if they did? Seriously. Is it a good story or not?
Yeah, Discovery actually towards the end, it was a pretty cool story. Did it seemed a little meh when it's the mirror universe? In my opinion.
I had fun with it.
I had fun with it, but again, it was like the mirror universe are like the Borg for me. It kind of gets boring. I really hope that the second season doesn't rely too heavily on that.
You
I
can't
didn't-
touch on it much.
I didn't mind the mirror universe, but I did mind Lorca being from the mirror universe. I did not think that was a good twist.
From a story writing perspective, yeah, I can see it, and it's a good twist in that regards. But I just feel that doing it in Discovery time periods could have done without. But with this, we got it. That's the way it is.
Here's an example. Here's an example of me being a fan of things, of certain genres, and while I'm not a fan of zombie films, but I have my reasons for not being a fan of zombies, even though it's in the genre. It's in the sci-fi fantasy genre. Zombies
It's kind
are
of boring.
Zombies are, when you really think about a zombie apocalypse, and there's science behind this, it would be over before it started. There are only so many human beings on this planet. Sure, and if the dead flesh reanimated, it would still be dead flesh. The insect world alone would take care of the apocalypse without us having to worry about it. The animals, the insects, anything that eats carrion would be all over it. I mean, it would be like a smorgasbord. What was it? It takes, I mean, less than 3 days for a dead animal in the woods to be completely stripped down to the bone. Just by insects alone. That's not counting the other carnivores that come in and eat dead flesh.
The insects will become zombified too,
Yeah,
and the carnivores.
But either way, I
All
mean,
those zombie hyenas.
and on that same aspect, when it comes to Star Trek, I love Star Trek. I really do. I enjoy watching Star Trek, all of it. It's all good to me. I mean, even Discovery, I was a little poo-pooey about it on the beginning, but now it's like part of the lore. Does it ignore some of the other stuff, or does it kind of gloss over it or change things slightly? But they all did. There is no continuity. There is no canon in Star Trek because it doesn't exist. They all contradict each other somewhere along the lines. But as a whole, it's all there. I don't like the Borg.
Though I would really appreciate it if Discovery made the Klingons look correct.
Sure.
That one is just never going to go away from me.
I mean, their ships and their look. But again, they are the only ones they altered that greatly. Vulcans still look like Vulcans, Andorians, Tellarites, they all still look like they're supposed to. And then we have the Klingons, which are a complete throwaway. I don't understand it, but when it comes down to aspects of stuff, I'm not on every Trek board anytime someone mentions the Borg, losing my mind about the Borg, even though I find them to be a very boring bad guy.
Well, TNG did use them in the right amount.
Yes.
They're supposed
Voyager,
to be this overly powerful thing, and you got to be careful not to overuse them.
Yeah, and then Voyager took them and neutered them to the point where, I mean, literally you could sneeze on a Borg and you would defeat it. I mean, it was like, oh, well, you know what? And then there was a lot of the retconning going on with, with, what's her name? Seven of Nine's parents. It was like, what, 2 years after Picard first met them, you're on some survey mission to the Gamma Quadrant? How the heck did you get there? Or the Delta Quadrant? It's like, wait a second, how did you get to the Delta Quadrant? How are you doing these things when in the timeline, technically, it was just after Picard was introduced to them, and that was an accident. But it was like, I still don't find them in. When they brought them into Enterprise, I actually sighed. I was like, oh, here we go.
I actually enjoyed that episode because it was it was a one shot, and you could definitely tell it was a one shot.
Yeah, it was just a follow-up to First Contact.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was. But it went nowhere. It was like, oh, well, they contacted the Borg in this time period. Yeah, but the Borg in this time period are still half a galaxy away. So this, and they tried to retcon it. Well, that's the reason why we met up with them in the 24th century. Whatever, fine. That's all good. But it's like, I'm not out there, and we're not out there, and I know a lot of other fans that don't go hunting down these things just to complain about.
No, because there's better things to do with our time.
Yeah, like watch the good ones. Read the books. No one took that away from anybody. I don't get this aspect of, it's mine, you took it away. No one took anything away from you. The books are all still out there.
I know we've discussed this before, and
Yes.
that we think. Well, I'm going to preface it as I think, because we each have our own opinions on the matter, and I think that the reason why people get so bent out of shape is not just the. Well, I mean, there is definitely an emotional investment, or a monetary investment. There's a financial investment because of how much we spent into it. We bought the movies repeatedly, and we bought the books and things. We still have them. I mean, they don't go away. But there's also that emotional investment where we've really gotten into these characters and we've suffered through some really bad books. Crystal Planet, I'm looking at you. And we've a lot of us, books wise, reading wise, we've grown up with these characters, and we're not getting that anymore because it's Disney's property. They're going to do what they want to do, just like Lucas before him. Hey, remember that, people? Lucas did it too. He ignored us as well. So I can get that aspect on it. If you want to argue that that's why people are bent out of shape, I think that's a fair point. We are definitely emotionally invested. That said, unlike actual investments, we don't actually have a say in the matter. The only thing you can really do, and that's fine if you want to do it, I think it's dumb, but you want to show them that your disapproval of it, you show them with your wallet. You don't go. That's the way it is. And they will listen to that, because if they are not making the kind of money that they're expecting, they won't show up for it. I mean, they'll talk to the managers, they'll talk to the teams, and they'll say, hey, this didn't work. We need to make sure not to do that again. And that's what some of the people were yelling at me about with, the fan club, saying, well, we've got to speak with our wallets and yada, yada. Yeah, I get that. But with 40 to 50,000 per multiple YouTube channels, they ain't going to listen to you guys. If multiple thousands and thousands of people, millions of people don't buy into it, they're going to listen to that. As of right now, Solo has made just a bit over its budget in 2 weeks. Solo's great, though, in my opinion. Well, great, per se. I mean, it's a good, enjoyable film. You should watch it. At the very least, see it on the big screen, because, come on, watching the Falcon fly on the big screen is always a treat.
My biggest worry with the failure of Solo is it means we won't get a Lando movie.
Well, I mean, they definitely are setting up for potential sequels on it, and even Penny Arcade makes mention of it. Here, I'll read it out real quick. So, Solo is the kind of movie you want more of. It was like a solo of Pringles, whose fruits gave out before my desire for them had been satisfied. I want to shake the can and let the shrapnel fall in and around my waiting craw. There's so much ink in the Exile expanded universe given over to crime syndicates. Many of the games have explored this well, and I've been fairly dogged in my assertion that I like to see the parts of the universe that aren't actively being carved up between factions of space wizards. I got it, god damn it. I got a movie that feels pulled right from the old books where people could really play around with the setting. Play is the term. This movie is fun, and everybody in it is having fun. And this Lando, give me 6 seasons and a movie. A sci-fi heist movie with what I would describe as precisely the correct amount of callbacks, masterful pulp tone, a rich score that includes a major key rendition of the Imperial March in an extremely clever bit. This is something you want to show up for. And because it's got the pulp serial vibe, I'm drumming my fingers waiting for a sequel to a movie that may never get one through no fault of its own.
That's very well put.
Oh, this guy's really good at his writing.
Very well put.
Tycho had more to say, but the long and short of it is, he's like, I'm as surprised as anybody. Solo is good. I wasn't even going to see it. I have shit to do, and after The Last Jedi, watching a Star Wars movie during its theatrical run isn't a guarantee anymore. And he goes on from there, and he's basically saying, I wasn't for it. I went and saw it anyway, and I walked away oh so happy. But he's paid attention to the geeks too, and
yeah.
I won't say the geeks. The people who are screaming, the man muffins, whatever.
Now
you really need a better term.
The question that it does raise is, there are issues. The Last Jedi was very divisive. was that it's separate. There was a big separation for those who loved it, those who hated it. There was the Force Awakens started it. The rift was already, it was like the hammer had hit, the chisel had hit, and the ice had cracked, and then The Last Jedi definitely split it right in two. And unfortunately, the smaller piece that fell to one side got all of the attention, the loud, obnoxious side of it. And then there were those who did enjoy it, who have enjoyed it more since it's been on Blu-ray and we can watch it now. There's that side of it who made it its money. It made a lot of money. It did make a lot of money. And now 6 months later, after that, which left a bad taste in a lot of fans' mouths, we got another Star Wars movie that no one really was expecting, no one really wanted. And I remember saying, that's the Star Wars movie nobody wanted, or you didn't realize you wanted. Now it's like, oh, wow, we really did need something like that. It was fun. There was no pretense to it. It was like we know where some of these characters go later in life, but it was still fun to watch.
Well, see, that's one of the reasons I think that they need to do a Lando movie is there's much more room to play with Lando than with Han Solo.
True. And another thing that gets me, and we're going to get into the aspect because we really didn't talk Solo because Alistair has yet to see it. And that's unfortunate. I'm hoping he gets to see it soon. But
It's probably not going to be for another week.
Okay. There are aspects of that film that tie in very closely with Disney's new universe of Star Wars. And a lot of people were complaining about that because those who have poo-pooed the cartoon series of Disney's, whether it be Lucas's Clone Wars or Disney's Rebels, they all tie in. A lot of people don't realize it, kind of like Marvel, it's all connected. And a lot of the complaints I'm seeing is because of aspects that tie into the TV shows that they already said, nope, we're not watching them because, well, that's your tough luck because now they are established as being part of this bigger universe and you missed out. And now you're complaining about it. Don't complain about it. Go back and watch them. They're all on Blu-ray. You can go watch them. They're all good. You can go rent them or whatever, find them somewhere. But it's all one big thing. And I don't think people realize, as much as Marvel has made this huge universe, Star Wars, while it was big, is now much bigger than it was. And that's a great thing, even though the oversaturation kind of showed itself with Solo. Because it should have made more money. Had they waited a little bit and put it out at Christmas time, it probably would have made a lot more. Probably,
because you need to give yourself a little time. With Marvel, they can get away with a little bit more because of how they built their cinematic universe. Star Wars doesn't quite work in the same manner. You guys slow it down a little bit, guys. I want to enjoy it. I go to Marvel because that is the equivalent of decent fast food, but if I want a nice steak, I go to Star Wars.
And if you want Taco Bell, you watch the DC movies.
I think that's a little harsh, man.
See,
at least raise it up a little bit.
Yeah, and you can't be. And now seeing the Star Trek things, I'm watching the Star Trek boards on Facebook, the Star Trek pages and groups. You can't be a Star Wars fan if you like Star Trek, or so it seems.
Well, it's kind of like you can't be. Well, it's the same with sports. You can't be a Chicago Cubs fan if you're a White Sox fan. Ha! I am.
That's what gets me. I laugh. It's just like, because, somebody will post something about Star Wars, and these people just light into them. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why can't you like both? What's wrong with liking multiple aspects of a genre? It's like you can't like the DC TV shows and also like the Marvel shows. You can't like the DC movies and like the Marvel movies because you have to only be in one camp. I didn't remember somebody handing out flags saying, here, what team are you on?
Older fans, especially of Star Trek, feel like Star Wars stole their thunder.
And that was acknowledged by George Lucas back in the 1970s when he met Gene Roddenberry.
I'm not. I'm just pointing out what some of their beliefs are. I'm not saying that I
know.
Agree with it, but they feel they're not acknowledged. they're not acknowledging that Star Wars doesn't just owe its existence to Star Trek. It owes its existence to Flash Gordon and all these older sci-fi shows that Star Trek also owes its existence to. A lot of Star Trek fans mistakenly think of Star Trek as the beginning of major science fiction.
That's not true. I mean, we had what's there's some good. I mean, like Buck Rogers. What's some other good ones? Well, good ones.
If it wasn't, I will say this right now:
Forbidden Planet.
Yes, Forbidden Planet is the greatest Star Trek movie never made, because I really think that its existence is why Star Trek is as big as it was, because the kids that saw Forbidden Planet when they were kids in 1955 when that movie came out, they were 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and they saw that movie. They're now in their teens when Star Trek comes out, and Star Trek is a huge hit in that age bracket. And Star Trek owes so much to Forbidden Planet, and a lot of people don't acknowledge that. So you're right, Wolfie. They think Star Trek is the alpha, and everything else is a ripoff of it. Whereas Star Trek rips off from a lot of stuff from before it.
Captain Video is probably closer to the alpha.
Well, we also have to point out too, they had a lot of writers from other properties that were brought into Star Trek in the original series. There's a lot of Lovecraftian material in there.
Yeah, and
you know,
I mean, if you really want to start yelling and screaming about women running things, a lot of the best Star Trek show writers. I mean, there's DC Fontana. A lot of people don't realize. I mean, there were women writers on Star Trek all the way through. It's like the women have been part of sci-fi for a long time.
They've been part of science for a long time. And hello, beepings, yellings.
Yeah. It's like, and the women. I mean, the biggest thing is, I mean, it's a bunch of small penises. That's what it is. It's got to be. It's like, go get in your giant pickup truck and leave the rest of us alone. Go compensate somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I can sort of see where you're a little upset that, you know, your little, not fiefdom, well, they're treating it as a fiefdom, but your little area, the place where you felt comfortable and were with like-minded people and all that, seems to be getting attacked. Or it's much more available than it used to be. And quite frankly, and I'm going to keep arguing for this, I think it's a good thing. We want it to be more available. That way you're not seen as, you know, the 30-plus-year-old guy living in his parents' basement that has to be evicted from it.
I think one of the problems is, as geek culture has moved out of the shadows into the mainstream and gotten
they're kicking and screaming, "Oh, don't! I like my dirt!"
And gotten spotlighted the last few years. These guys made two assumptions. They assumed that meant they could come out of the shadows into the spotlight, and they assumed it meant that it would put them in a position of power. And it's suddenly being revealed to them that their problems with people and their shortcomings with people are not because they like these things. It's because they're not necessarily good people.
How dare you say something that probably is extremely factual.
Probably fairly accurate, yeah. It's not the property that made you an asshole. You're just an asshole.
This is not geeks across the board by any means, but some of the worst basement and dungeon dwellers were basement and dungeon dwellers not because they liked these things. They started liking these things because they didn't know how to interact with people to begin with.
And you had nowhere to go. You had no place to hang out. The closest you had was maybe the comic book store, or if there was a game shop near you. And if you lived out in a rural area, well, you are hosed.
And granted, there were some people that found this stuff because they were unfairly shunned or whatever. But I've met some of these guys. Some of these guys were shunned for very legitimate reasons.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. I have been there. I remember, and I felt so bad saying it, and I feel bad to a point saying it now, but I'm not. Now, I have hung in circles of geeky people for most of my life, but they were geeky people who. So I mean, I am a introvert myself, but I'm not introverted to the point where I shun all interaction with human beings. I'm an introvert that realizes I have to be able to in the world my mom put it good. You're on. You're on stage. My aspect is when I'm on stage, and I have to be there. I have to interact. I have to deal on that level. And then, but I need my time then to recoup, which is where I will go and I will either watch a movie on my own. I need alone. I need to be alone to recharge the batteries. There's an introvert side of things where it takes it even further, where the social interaction is almost painful for people. And then there's that aspect of geekdom, because I know people like that, where they really enjoy it. They wish they could be more outgoing. The internet and social media gives them an outlet where they don't have to interact physically, and it's cool. But then there's the side that Wolfie just touched on. And I walked into a comic book store that was having a gaming thing, a tabletop gaming thing going on. And the yelling and screaming that was going on by people, and I was like, how do you interact like that in public? How can you be that way in public? And then it hit me. It was what Wolfie was hitting on. These people are social outcasts for a reason, because they don't know how to socialize. I mean, it was like, whoa, dude, chill out. Ease back on the throttle. You're screaming and yelling and being an asshole, like you said, Tank. And I'm like, you're not, if this is who you are, you're not a great person to be around. And I can understand why no one wants to be around you.
Right?
Because you're right. Wolfie, you're right. It's not the properties and the things you like that people don't want to be around. It's you.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes some of the things that we like can present a barrier to people, but it's up to you to find a way to break through the barrier.
To get them to at least, if not interested in it, understand it.
Don't hide behind the barrier. But one of the worst aspects that I've run into are these guys that, because they liked this stuff that was not mainstream, that wasn't common, and they felt that they were shunned for it, they feel that they're this shunned minority, and they feel they can pass judgment on others, and they turn into racists and misogynists on a scary level.
You know what's interesting? You've just brought up an interesting point. Okay, so you were driven into the shadows, whatever, back in the day, and you couldn't reach out to people, blah, blah, blah. They didn't want to hang out, so on and so forth. But this was your thing. This was your niche. You got into it. You found people like-minded, all that. And now you can't handle it that there's people getting into it. You know who had no problem whatsoever with people getting into their niche? The jocks. Not because it's normal or anything like that, but just because it's available. And it's been available. I mean, baseball stats, you want to get people going. Oh, man. You can just start talking baseball statistics, and they'll go for hours and days. Or football or basketball. Yeah, and you can get some pretty heated conversations about, LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan, so on, things like that.
I wonder
but they didn't have a problem with that with people coming into it. What's your problem, guys?
I wonder if I'm the only one here who knows what war is.
War. It's always
a baseball stat.
What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
It's wins above replacement. It's how many wins a particular player accounts for above the exact average player at that position for that season or their career.
Wow, we're digging into some of the toxic side of things, and throwing light. There are aspects of it, because Wolfie mentioned the misogyny and the racism. Now, the racism side of stuff, there is no excusing misogyny, racism, but there are aspects of it that you can shine light on, and you can see where circumstances have made these things. Now, I'm not excusing the racism. Racism will never be excused in my eyes. There is no reason in any of it for a person's skin, ethnicity, or any of it to be a reason to hate somebody.
Nope.
And never will be. Now, the other side, the misogyny side of it, whereas, again, I'm not excusing it. You never have the right to hate somebody because they are the opposite sex of you. But that being said, I knew people, and I have known people, and I know people who, because they are shunned or they are not, quote unquote, attracted to people are not attracted to them, and it usually stems from the aspect of, let's see, I knew a guy way out of shape, never showered, always smelled kind of funny, never did his laundry.
Wait, Don Burrito's not here.
Okay, all these kind of things, and yet I knew this guy, and he was vile when it came to women. And it's now, as an adult, much older. This is 20, 30 years ago that this one particular person, I remember the vileness that would come out of him because, and it was always lashed out towards the female, to women. It was like girls and women, and it's like blah blah blah. And it was like just a girl walking down the street, and the names this guy would call women. I was like, what are you talking about? You don't even know this person.
He's probably what they would call an incel today.
Yes, exactly. And it was because she doesn't find you attractive, therefore she's a slut and she's a whore and all these kind of things. And she only goes for the jocks. Well, no, she goes for the guy who takes a shower, dude. Who looks at himself in the mirror and goes, you know what? I'm going to take a little pride in what I look like. And it was like, and yeah, it would be considered an incel nowadays because she doesn't find you attractive, therefore it's her problem. No, maybe you need to look in a mirror.
Also, I admit that was a cheap shot on Don Burrito.
It wasn't a cheap shot on Don Burrito, but I'm not. And again, it's not an excuse. Someone not being attracted to you usually means you're not attractive. Whether it's not, I mean, and it doesn't have to be physically. Maybe you're just an ass.
You're doing something,
or maybe you just smell like ass.
It doesn't even have to come down to somebody being not attractive. There's types. There's a guy I know, and he's for the most part a pretty nice guy. He could have been a model if he hadn't joined the army and smoked too many cigarettes and blah blah blah. But man, when he
was going to be a lung model or something?
No, smoking ages you.
Yeah,
yes,
smoking ages you.
Yes, I know it. Well, so I smoked for a long time, and I still have a baby face, so knock on wood.
But
didn't smoke enough.
He couldn't
actually
process.
Pause for a second.
Yeah.
I have to say it is true because you look younger than I do.
Yeah, a lot, dude.
And I look really damn young.
A lot of people they're like, "There's no way you're 45," and I'm like, I mean, I have wrinkles now now that I'm 45 years old, but I mean, up until my mid 30s, people would have sworn I was in my early 20s.
You may now proceed.
But fairly nice guy, but man, he could not understand when he wasn't a woman's type.
And you know what? It really is true. Women do have a type. Now, I luckily have I've got a beautiful wife and 3 beautiful kids, and I knock on wood that my wife found me.
Talking.
No, she's not here. But I will always. I mean, my wife is beautiful. I mean, in my eyes, she's beautiful. Some people may say, "Well, she's not all that." In my eyes, she is. And obviously, I was her type, and I'm geeky and that kind of stuff. But she seems to enjoy me, so it's kind of cool. There is somebody out there for people. I mean, you just got to go looking. Are you gonna get Claudia Schiffer? No. Well, Claudia Schiffer is not a good one because I always thought she was kind of funny looking. But not everybody's gonna get a supermodel.
Well, and that's one of the problems and I don't want to call it settling for the girl next door or anything like that.
But you're not settling.
But that's what I'm trying to say. I don't want to call it that. I want to call it
finding the right one.
No, not even that. It's these idealized visions of a woman that some people have in their heads,
and they're disappointed that they don't get it.
Yeah,
thank you, Rob.
they create this image, whether it's of the perfect big boobed woman that's acts Japanese and doesn't is all or whatever. These guys that get all into the way these anime girls act and whatnot. And
waifu apocalypse.
Go look at DeviantArt and you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
Oh man.
If you go to DeviantArt, you're going to notice 3 things: feet, inflation, and feet.
And furries.
No, you see that a lot more elsewhere.
You see that a lot, like the whole thing the website houses where it's DeviantArt, ours is the furry. No, that's Fur Affinity. DeviantArt is ours is the fetish.
You're right, Wolfie. You're right. There is this idealized aspect to. I mean, this is why I think the sexy cosplay is so popular, because it really is and I hate doing this because there are some really incredible cosplayers out there, but there are quite a few who play off of those, who prey on that. Not even play, they prey on it because they know that they have that look and they know they're going to get the attention and they're going to get these people fawning all over them, and they prey on that idealized look that is out there, and they get all of these guys worked up into a lather, but in reality they would never give half these people the time of day because of the other aspects of it, which then goes on to the other side, which is like, are you an asshole? Do you shower? I mean, are you looking at this woman as a piece of meat, or are you seeing a person?
Well, one of the funniest things, and I know for a fact this is true because I know a few guys in the Army that excelled at this. If you want a beautiful woman, the main thing you need to learn to do is not stink and get up the courage to talk to them, because most guys are afraid to talk to them. Half the time in a bar, they're sitting there bored because guys don't approach them, and the guys that do tend to be assholes.
Confidence goes a long way.
It doesn't work in my case because I don't drink.
Well,
I don't much reason to go up to the bar.
Well, but it doesn't even have to be in a bar. It could be lots of places. But like all these guys that go, oh, women only go for assholes. No, the assholes are the ones that have the confidence to talk to them, to ask them out.
True. Boy, we're going into some social sides of things right now.
Yeah, we probably, that's not very geeky, but it does kind of get into the mental, I don't know, not acrobatics that some people go through. I get it. As geeks and introverts, it's very difficult to want to get up and talk to anybody else, and you got to open up, and you got to trust to do that, and it's very exhausting.
You know what's kind of
so on and so forth. I get it.
I mean, I will say I got lucky and actually married an introvert, and we understand each other. We understand that we need to, when I walk, my wife knows that if I take 5 minutes and go downstairs, I'm recharging batteries. And she does the same thing, and we understand that. It's kind of cool. I made the mistake in my first marriage of marrying an extrovert who could not understand that if we went to a party and I wanted to leave, and she was just, she's like, I don't understand you. You're just not a social person. It's like, what part of me ever said that I was? It's the wrong person. But, confidence goes a long way. And the other aspect of it is don't be an ass, and don't look at a woman through rose-colored glasses. Women are women. They're people. They need to be talked to. And having confidence to go up and talk to somebody, like Wolfie said, is the perfect way to start. You know who's really confident? Maverick.
He flies a plane. He also lost that loving feeling.
He lost Goose, too.
Yeah, that was sad. Quite the segue, though, isn't it?
That was a great segue, don't you think? I pulled that off pretty good.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good. Considering we're getting Maverick again.
There's a sequel nobody wanted.
Well, it made more sense if it was a little sooner, but at this point, it's like now we've got drones, and that's what they're going to talk about. And it's going to be weird, just because, even Val Kilmer's coming back. but we don't have F-14s. I missed that plane. And
How are they gonna squeeze Val Kilmer into a plane?
I seriously doubt Kelly McGillis is coming back, though.
probably not.
Is she even acting anymore?
I don't know.
I don't believe so. But
You know what the cool way around that is? They just kill characters off.
She died of cancer.
Well, I think even in the movie, it's pretty much acknowledged that she's older than Maverick.
Yes.
Maverick was a young buck. Yes.
Is he gonna be the Michael Ironside in this one?
I think the way that they described is he's definitely going to be, the experienced veteran who's been around a while, and he's having to adjust to this new world of drone piloting and whatnot instead of actually being in the cockpit, which, yeah, that's a legit thing you can focus on, but it does seem like it might be a little boring, I guess, but I don't know. I suppose we'll see. Will I watch it? Maybe.
I'll just watch as long as they got the bow, 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 I'll be all right there.
The film becomes serious when he gets into a cockpit and they play the danger zone.
Yeah. Oh, danger zone.
In other silly news.
So does that mean we're going to get another Hot Shots movie?
No, Charlie Sheen's burned a lot of bridges. Also, we lost a few bridges. Like Jeff Bridges. No, wait, we got Jeff. What was the...
Lloyd.
Yes.
We lost Lloyd.
Lloyd is the admiral and then the president from the Hot Shots movies.
Yes.
Yeah, we've lost that Bridges.
Sorry, you know what? I think this is the first time that we attacked guys on this show. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about it. We really went after the guys on this one.
They kind of deserved it.
Yeah.
Some guys really need a kick in the butt. I know at one point in my life, I needed a kick in the butt.
We all did. I will say, I'll come right out and say, I did fall into that category for a little bit where I did start to resent girls because they didn't find me attractive.
My big thing that I'm going to say is I am not condemning most of these guys to a life of hiding in the shadows, whatever. My thing is step back, take a look at yourself, take a look at where you are, and evaluate if that's the person you want to be.
A wise man once told me, a wise man, and this goes for all of it, whether it's women and all of it, if somebody pushes your buttons, it's not that person's fault. It's you because you have the button to be pushed. I remember that, and that has been stuck with me. And it was my stepfather who told me that. It doesn't matter. It's like it's not their fault that they pushed your buttons. Whether it was a button because they're not. I mean, and the button could be that, oh well, they're not finding me attractive, or that this movie isn't what I wanted. So therefore, it's your fault for having the button. You got to look at yourself.
But what if the button is they raised a large sum of money crowdfunding and then blah 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 blah,
and come up with something that can do the same thing? I mean, come up with something simple as that. I mean, granted, the actual coming up with the thing may not be simple, but still, that's the solution to that one, guys.
Yeah, you know what? We will. This is Wolfie just touched on. One of these days, we're going to have to address that elephant in the room. We don't talk about it but it is because it's still going on, and it's still being
do more than address the elephant. Maybe we should actually mail it finally. Put some stamps. But I need to take a lot of stamps.
Don't you assume that elephant's sex?
What? He didn't say the male elephant.
Yeah, don't
mail the elephant.
Joke. He said he was going to mail the elephant.
Oh yes.
I see what you did there. That's so. What you're saying is the elephant's trans.
Dr. Tran?
It's a trans elephant.
Trans elephant. Trans elephant.
See, there would be half of our title right there.
Oh my god.
And let's look at it this way, though.
One morning, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got my pajamas, I'll never know.
It's a good question.
Yes.
Anyway, so just last bit on the whole serious bit. Yeah, we've been ripping on the guys. I mean, but you gotta, like as was pointed out, you gotta look at yourselves. If everyone
we've
doesn't
all
want to be
been there,
around
right?
you, sure. Well, maybe not all, or maybe not the same ways. But again, if they don't want to be around you, or if you feel that you gotta throw out this, this vitriol onto women or whatnot, guys, the society as a whole is the ones that's changing. You need to change with it. Maybe you need to look at yourself, you need to review it, figure out what are you doing wrong. Don't blame it on others, because frankly, the only thing that can change here is you. Society is changing because they've already come to the conclusion that some of the things that we used to do was wrong. And that's why, we see these people coming up out of the woodwork, the Nazis and the racists and whatnot, because they don't like change. Well, be better than that. Come on. You're following these various fandoms that we dig in, really get into. Well, fix yourselves. And if you don't want to, I guess we can't help you.
Back to Top Gun. We better not get it. Hot Shots Part 2 and Hot Shots Part 3.
Hot Shots Part Trace.
Well, I got a question. Are we going to get a Days of Thunder 2 if he does if he does Top Gun 2? Will we get a little more Cold Trickle?
Probably not.
Because all that movie was Top Gun and cars.
It really was.
But I don't know. It was just like, I thought that it was, I really did think that because, what's his name? Scott, the other Scott, not Ridley, the other one. The one who did the first one. There were two of them, right?
Of what?
The Scott, there was Ridley Scott, and then there was the other one, right?
I don't know off the top of my head.
The one he committed suicide, which was a big deal. It was huge. And
I don't know.
I honestly thought with that, it was that Top Gun 2 was just kind of just shelved, and that was it. And now all of a sudden it's coming back. And, it's pretty funny that, Tom Cruise is what, late 50s at this point?
If he was actually in the service, he'd been retired by now, had his 20-year letter, etc. Or he should be a general.
But, he's still out there kicking butt, doing his own stunts.
No, he's Admiral. He was Navy.
That's right.
You mean Tony Scott, Adam?
Yeah. Tony Scott did the first one, right?
Yeah, he was the director.
And I remember, because he had been talking about it. Well, he is Ridley Scott's brother, right? I could have sworn they were related.
Yes.
Because I remember when
He is Ridley's brother.
Yeah, it was. It was like the fact that he committed suicide. A lot of people were just like, "What?" But I got to give Tom Cruise credit. For a man, he's out there and he's making the movies he wants to make. Now, as a person, do I think Tom Cruise is a great guy? Probably not. He is a Scientologist, and I'm not going to get into that.
I don't think he's automatically a bad person because of the Scientology stuff. From the stuff I've heard about him, he's a fairly nice guy to meet. I do think he's a little brainwashed.
I don't know. Just this kind of the stuff that went on with him and his daughter, and knowing how that religion treats those who walk away. It's kind of saddening to know. But again, is that going to stop me from seeing his movies or liking him as an actor? Hell no. I love the Mission Impossible movies.
His real name is Thomas Cruise Mapother IV.
And he's got that weird thing dentally where his teeth are offset. And nobody notices it until you point it out. And when you see it, once it's pointed out to you, you'll never not see it.
I always forget he was married to Mimi Rogers.
He was?
Yeah, from 87 to 90.
She's like, what, 15 years older than him?
Looks like 7 years older than him.
No. Mimi Rogers. Oh, speaking of older women, did you see the poster for Michelle Pfeiffer for Ant-Man?
I have not.
I gotta say, I always had that was one of my crushes thingy. Michelle Pfeiffer's just yummy. Oh, there I go. Being a male pig again. Sorry, when you almost get run over by somebody, it kind of leaves an impression.
No, only if they did run over.
No, that I think I scared her more than she scared me. Well, I don't know. It was a grocery store. I did not realize, and I had to go back and look, and yeah, she was in New York for either she had a house there or something. She was doing something in New York, and she was in that area. And I really didn't think it was Michelle Pfeiffer until I found out that she was in the area. And my mom and I had stopped at a grocery store, and we were driving through. We was living in upstate New York. I think we were going back up to my mom's house from the city, and it was somewhere in between. And we stopped at a grocery store, and I ran from the car to the front door, and I didn't look. And I ran out right in front of a car. I mean, screeching brakes and everything, screeching tires. And my hands were on the hood of the car. That's how close I came to getting run over. Because it was one of those Home Alone where it was like there was just like the front of the car was right there, and my hands were on the hood of the car. And I looked up and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And she looked back and did the whole, "Oh, I'm so sorry," like that kind of thing. And then it kind of hit me of who was driving that car. And I got back to the car after I went inside, got what I came back. I was like, I almost got run over by Michelle Pfeiffer. My mom was like, "Get out of here." I was like, "No, for real. I am like 99% sure that I almost got hit by Michelle Pfeiffer." And then she joked and said, "You should have let her hit you." I was like, "No, because I've been hit by a car before. I don't want to get hit by a car again."
Well,
It's not pleasant.
that sounds like to this day, I regret not letting the oh God, what, not the Rolls Royce, the Bentley that almost hit me in Miami Beach. Sometimes I think I should have just let it hit me.
Yeah, a lot of money to be made in that.
Yeah, but they call that fraud.
Well, not if I mean, getting hit
If
by
it's a
Michelle
legit hit.
Pfeiffer. That would have been a legit hit.
It's not like I would have thrown myself in front of this car. I just, instead of freezing, I stepped out of the way. And as it drove past me, I thought, gee, maybe I would have been better off freezing.
It's really funny when you think about it, because when you see famous people, they're famous. It's like, oh, famous people. You forget they're people at times. There are times, having worked in the industry and been around them, that has gone away for me. It's like, yeah, these are people too. And there's etiquette involved with dealing with stars, especially if they're nice people. It's like Vanessa Williams, extremely nice woman. My God, was she really nice. And she's strikingly beautiful. But again, she's a person too. And I remember doing the Disney parade, and she was one of the singers for the Disney parade. And one of the guys we had working was new to the industry. He literally stared at her, and we were like, "Dude," and he's like, "What? It's Vanessa Williams." Like, "Nah, man, she's a person too. And how would you like it if someone stopped and just stared at you?"
Well,
It's like,
that's why they've done kind of psychological studies, and there's a reason that celebrities marry celebrities, because even once you're famous, unless when you meet this other famous person, in your mind you're going, "Oh my God, that's so and so," and they're doing the same thing. That's why it's so hard for celebrities to meet and fall in love with normal people.
it's just really weird. I mean, I've had more. I mean, the Michelle Pfeiffer getting hit by. I mean, and it wasn't like I got out there. "Oh, you're Michelle Pfeiffer." Huh? I mean, I ran physically into Patrick Stewart. He
I
knocked
stepped
stuff
on
out.
Mike Wallace's foot.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, physically, shoulder to shoulder, boom, hit him like it was a hit. Oh, excuse me. It was so freaky. And it was like, whoa. And it's one of those, you don't realize what happened until after the fact. You're like, "Oh my God, that was Patrick Stewart." I just literally ran into, and how to make an impression on somebody. This idiot in the middle of New York City is just running into me. But it was like, there was like Tony Randall, Dom DeLuise, all this from just bumping into people.
What are you gonna do if one day he does an interview where he talks about his daily pot use and says, "Well, it all started because I was in pain after some idiot ran into me in New York City"?
That would be hilarious. It would be. I mean, it was. I mean, the Jonathan Frakes thing. I mean, it was like I actually had to pay money to meet Leonard Nimoy. But I mean, everybody else I've ever ran into was just running into them. I was like, oh, and they're people too. They're hanging out. It's like whatever.
Yeah, I met John Glenn at the airport while waiting to pick up my stepdad with my mom.
That'd be cool. And I love it when it's like there's somebody who's semi-celebrity or celebrity, and they're just so down. Like I would love to meet Keanu Reeves and just hang out with him because he's such a down-to-earth kind of guy. And from everything you ever read about the guy, he really is. He doesn't like the celebrity side of things. He doesn't go around, you know who I am? I'm such and such. It's like, no, this is a guy who rides the subway, who rides a bike through the street. I mean, he's just a normal dude. I'm digging that side of it. You know who's really nice? Dave Bautista.
He wants to play Mark Phoenix in a Gears of War movie.
Says it's his dream job.
He's
Kinda
from
looks the
DC.
role. Dude's a monster, though. Holy cow, is he huge.
Definitely a big dude.
If I make it to Raleigh SuperCon, I may get a chance to meet him. He is going to be there. Although I wanted to go to SuperCon, but what put it over the top for me is Shatner's going to be there.
I'm still debating whether or not I want to go see the Wrath of Khan with Shatner.
Well, Wolfie has been like trying to convince me to go by like telling me the voice actresses from Ruby are going to be there and all that.
Except money.
Money.
We
When
are
is
still.
SuperCon?
What?
When is SuperCon?
July 27th. That's why I believe my mom might be getting me a ticket for my birthday.
Save your money. Save your money. Celebration in Chicago.
They've announced the costs, and holy crap!
Yeah, $215 for a week, $75 per day.
Yeah, we're all gonna have to like live in Tank's living room for a week.
It's all good.
Oh, that won't end well.
Hmm.
This apartment's not that big for it's 1, 2, 3, all of us.
I gotta say, looking at the guest page for SuperCon, man, this is one of the biggest guest pages I've ever seen.
If you go to a con, you got to hang out in the back. You never know who's going to step out to have a smoke. Then you realize who smokes. It's like, hey, I didn't know you smoked.
Yeah, but that almost seems a little stalkerish, man.
Yeah, it's true, especially if you don't smoke.
I'm a secondhand chain smoker.
What are you doing? You don't have a cigarette. Yeah, but everybody else does.
And it's cheaper this way.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of cool. I mean, I'm just curious whether or not meeting famous people was what. No, I wanted to get into movies long before that and get into the entertainment side of things long before actually meeting famous people. I think the first famous person I ever met was Hulk Hogan.
You know, we don't know yet who's going to be there, but if Mark Hamill was going to be at Celebration,
Oh, I'm sure he will be.
that would be the time to be like, as
My
long as
ex-wife wouldn't let me do it when I was down there in Orlando. I was right next to the curtains where he was right behind the curtain. I was like, you please let me do it. And she's like, no, you do it. You're going to embarrass me. This is before she got all Star Wars out.
You should have challenged him to a Joker off.
I was going to go, who is this Hamill guy saying he's the Joker? He would have stood up. You know he would have stood up.
Oh, you would have. But no, what I'm thinking is then we'd have to clear it with him first. Like, if he would be down for it, we'd be like, we'd have someone record it. We would tackle him. It's like, we're getting you on the show, and drag him off.
No, we have to have a Homer Simpson impersonator carry him out.
Do you realize that Star Wars would have ended really quick if Uncle Owen had actually just let him go to Tashi Station?
Well, the other thing is that Obi-Wan could have ended it real quick if he just had a lightsaber that stayed on. He could have dropped it through the whole station.
True.
Yeah, robot chicken joke.
It doesn't make it any less true.
But yeah, I mean, my wife actually was like, "Boy, really? It's going to be in Chicago? That's only like 2 hours from here." I was like, "I know."
You're closer to it than I am, then.
Yeah,
It's a 3-hour drive for me.
2.5 hours for us.
We're all going to live in Adam's basement.
Well, maybe you guys will. I don't need to.
But no, I would love. I mean, I really think that we should look into that. And screw the other cons. You know what? Star Trek Las Vegas is too big for its britches. They are insane.
I, in good conscience, cannot go to any of the official ST cons because I just cannot support Creation Entertainment after what they've done the past few years.
No, I want to be in Vegas during the week of Star Trek, but that's because from what I've heard, it's almost as big a air quotes convention just hanging out outside of the actual convention.
Yeah, I would just go to hang out in the bar.
Well, especially with all the non-official events, because so many of the Star Trek actors are fairly open, and we know enough people that we could get into certain parties.
Oh, sure. But that's another one. Conventions, it's like Comic-Con. Comic-Con has outgrown itself. It's now more spectacle than it's like I'm pretty sure Star Trek isn't that way. Vegas isn't that way. That it really is a celebration of Star Trek. And I know, having been to Star Wars Celebration, it really is fans getting together to celebrate Star Wars. And if there's your true aspect of it, when you look at Celebration that came out before The Last Jedi, and you look at how many people were there, and the monstrous amount of people that went and turned out for Star Wars, even after The Force Awakens, which a lot of people are like, "Oh, Force Awakens is just a copy of blah, 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 blah." Yet, Celebration was packed. And then how many of those people were there because they were there to yell and complain that that The Force Awakens was just a rehash?
None that we know of.
Exactly. I just keep staring it back there. You people are pissing me off. I'm bitching about the pictures.
It's a
Well,
Some bitches the bitches.
Before you transition us to Top Gun, I was going to bring it back.
Oh, we're
around.
trans now. Great.
We transitioned to Top Gun?
No, before you transitioned us to Top Gun,
Yeah.
I was going to bring it back around and say that the whole idealized mate thing applies to these same people with movies. And the thing you brought up of they built up this perfect Star Wars movie in their head, and when what's on screen doesn't match, they lose their minds.
Well, that's probably the big, and nobody's denying that, which is really funny. No one denies that they had it all built in their head that it was going to be this epic thing where Luke Skywalker is going to have a lightsaber and he's going to take on the First Order. And he even said it. He's like, "What do you think I was going to do? To grab a laser sword and take on the whole First Order myself?" Well, yeah, you're Luke Skywalker. You're the legend. Wah, wah, wah. This isn't going to go the way you think. And what do we get? We get Adam Driver topless.
I do think that people might be reading too much into that. You know, this isn't going to go the way that you think. That means that they're going to completely destroy everything. No, I don't think so. Because at no point in time was Star Wars ever about just one family, except for the whole thing with Vader. It was always about, his arc. It was always about his arc, his fall, his redemption. And even Lucas had said that if he was going to do it, it would have been, what happens after that. So it's still about his family.
Yep.
We just don't know how yet.
Which still leads me to believe that whole crap with Rey is wrong. That it was just a lie.
Yeah, and I would still believe that as well. Just something about it felt off. It's what Ben/Ren wants to believe.
Yeah, and
hey, that sounds familiar. He's an asshole. Go back to your basement and wait to get evicted, jerk.
Episode.
I liked The Last Jedi, but I will say it did feel disconnected from Force Awakens in certain ways because Ryan Johnson pulled away from some of the things that JJ established. Now, supposedly he talked to JJ about it and whatnot, but it was just it was a swerve, and it felt like he felt this need to put his own stamp on it. I'm not saying it ruined the movie for me. It just does bug me a little bit.
It's the anti-Empire. Think about it. When Empire Strikes Back came out and revealed that whole "I am your father," that one, a lot of people thought it was a lie. No one believed it. Which I'm thinking this is the exact opposite. Because it is a lie because they were still connected. There is still something that connects them. And it's not just and everybody keeps shipping them. Oh, with the shipping and if we don't get Raylo or whatever it is, we're gonna be all upset again. And there's another aspect of fandom.
Why would you want Raylo? I don't understand that.
It's an abusive relationship, people. Once again, asshole.
These must be the same people that are so in love with the concept of Joker and Harley.
There's really
even though she has completely in the comic books, she has disavowed him left and right.
She's moved on completely. I mean, but these people, I see all these people post online all the time about how, I want the Joker-Harley relationship. The Joker-Harley relationship is not healthy. It's abusive.
Harley says as much when Lobo strikes her. And she points out, it's like, I just got out of a really bad relationship, and I'm still kind of getting over that, and so on and so forth, to the point that she then proceeds to hammer him, and I guess wins.
Yeah,
because he wasn't expecting it.
Well, doesn't she, in the Injustice 2 comics or something, doesn't she rip Lobo's head off?
I don't know.
I'm not caught up on the Injustice 2 comic books. They're a good series. They're a good story so far. I actually just finished No Justice.
Well, I think it's the same, and I was reading an article about this the other day. Marvel and DC, I think, tell their best stories when they're in an alternate universe where they're willing to play with the characters, where they're not stuck in the established norms for the characters.
But I don't know. Marvel's doing pretty good with the Spider-Man books right now. Because the Spider-Man 800 was awesome.
I'm not saying they can't put out a good book in the main lines, but a lot of the better stories and the more in-depth character studies at times come in the alternate universe stories.
True. That is very true. But I will say, if you're not up on your Spider-Man books, because they did the whole, it was like a roller coaster in the Spider-Man books. He put the symbiote back on.
Ugh, what?
Oh, dude. Because Carnage and the Green Goblin have merged. And when I mean merged, I mean Cletus Cassidy and Norman Osborn are one person right now. They're called the Red Goblin, and literally all of Carnage's weaknesses disappeared because of it. So where it's like sound and fire do not affect him the way they affect Venom and that kind of stuff. Brock and Spider-Man go against him. Brock gets beaten senseless, and he's just like, "Hey, you're not gonna do this alone. Take the symbiote." And Spider-Man's like, "Nope, not gonna happen."
I didn't even realize Brock had the symbiote back. So,
oh yeah.
So Agent Venom with Flash isn't a thing anymore.
It's still a thing.
No, he's anti-Venom now.
But the point it is still a thing. He does.
And I don't want to spoil too much about it, but he's in the book as well.
Well, because it used to be that Flash was Agent Venom. He lost his leg, and then they gave him the Venom symbiote. Didn't he even hang out with the Guardians at one point?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, he became anti-Venom, which he was white with a black spider, and right now in the books, they're all, it's this big deal because they've got the Red Goblin, as they're calling him, with very like no weaknesses that the symbiotes normally have, and Brock is just like he's out of it. He's like, I'm done. He goes, but the symbiotes not take it, and he goes, with the way you work with the symbiote, you will have you'll be able to do this. And he's back in his black costume. And it's really, I really want to see where they go with it, because it was like, oh, Spider-Man's got the black costume again. He's wearing the symbiote and they're working together, not against each other. Because the symbiote has basically turned good.
For now.
For now. He's more hero than anti-hero. Oh, it's pretty sweet. But, I mean, it's good. Superman's going very interesting ways now that Bendis is writing it.
I only bought the 1000 book, and I haven't bought any since.
Well, they're doing weeklies now, so where they all tie together, Man of Steel, Superman, they're all one big storyline now. And they're weekly. But yeah, comic books, they're getting good again. I stopped reading a lot of books, and I was like, oh, I gotta get back into this. And the Spider-Man one drew me right back in. I was like, yep, I'm back. I will read Spider-Man again. Because once they made him the new Tony Stark, I kind of stopped reading.
Wait, Alchemax exists now in the Spider-Man comics?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Alchemax is the super company from Spider-Man 2099.
Yes.
But now apparently they exist in the normal Spider-Man time.
I guess, yes. Well, I mean, if you could have Miles Morales and Peter Parker in the same universe, why not?
But I thought one of the things that Miguel O'Hara came back to stop was the formation of Alchemax.
Well, obviously, he didn't do a good job.
You suck.
I could be completely mixing things up about why he came back, but I know that Alchemax is is the main super corporation in the 2099 universe.
I have to go. I mean, again, like I said, I just started reading Spider-Man again. I have to go back and go back and find some back issues. Now, you know what books are kind of fading for me is Dr. Aphra.
I've still been enjoying it.
I don't know.
Well, we know she's got a ticking clock.
It was like that whole, when she was working for Vader and working against Vader, it was working for me, and now all of a sudden, it's like, nah. It's like, you know what, we need a Bosk movie is what we need. We need a Bosk book.
Mentalgen.
Yes.
It's almost 11:30.
Yep, we're going on the 2-hour mark. We should probably call it. Last call. I got nothing.
Pondering.
I had something, but I forgot what it was because we kept going.
And as much as... Oh, what?
I did.
Go ahead.
So who wants to go to the International House of Breakfast?
Is it breakfast? Did they call it breakfast?
Yes.
So
What?
it's no longer IHOP. It's now IHOB. They dropped the pancakes.
Well, I don't want them if they dropped them.
Wait,
This
what?
is-
Yes, IHOP changed its name.
They are now going to be the International House of Breakfast. And it's like going to a Waffle House, only it's not waffles. It's not Waffle House, it's just house.
Oh, I would choose IHOP over Waffle House any day.
Yeah, they're not on the same level in terms of quality of food.
Not to say that Waffle House is not good at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Waffle House
No.
is fantastic. Get out.
Waffle House has its place, and you get your food much faster at Waffle House.
Yes.
But if you want to sit down for a while and whatnot, IHOP has a bigger menu.
Where else can
You
you
go to
order
Village
a
Inn.
Rudy Tooty Root Fresh and Fruity?
We don't have Village Inns out here, and I'm not a big Denny's person.
Well, Denny's is, well, let's face it, it's kind of the Taco Bell of diners.
Denny's
So the
is
Grand
where
Slam
you
is
go
not
after
bad.
you smoked way too much pot. But I will say, in college, Denny's was the only place to go at 2 o'clock in the morning. When you were pulling all-nighters and you needed a half-hour, 45-minute break with some coffee and breakfast, was where you went.
There used to be 24-hour IHOPs.
Oh, I wish there was an IHOP that was 24 hours when I was in school. Would have loved it. I could have had Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruities every day.
Because when I worked the movie theater one summer, we'd get off on Saturday, well, technically Sunday mornings at like 2 in the morning, and we'd all go to IHOP.
I just realized I liked them before I liked Deadpool. I used to like going to the Mexican restaurant in Pittsburgh just because I can get a chimichanga. Just because I like saying chicken chimichanga.
Did you get the Chinese chicken?
What, huh?
Chimichanga.
But we're going to call it. We're done, right?
We're gonna go to Waffle House.
IHOP.
Hey, I'd rather go to Waffle House than IHOB.
Yeah, IHOB just doesn't sound as appealing. It's like I hobble.
It doesn't say good things at all.
No, it doesn't. But we'll be back next week, and hopefully we'll have much nicer things to talk. Well, let's see what comes out this weekend. Nothing. Right? Incredibles is until next week. And Alistair still has to see Solo.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go see it again.
We could actually, by that point in time, we should have gotten through more of the Victory is Life content, which there's apparently going to be more coming. So,
But until then, we will walk away from the unless something major happens in the toxic fandom thing. We're done. We're done. We're done. We can beat that horse until it. I mean, yeah. It's just stop being dicks. Take Will's advice. Take Will Wheaton's advice and don't be a dick.
I think we're all kind of in agreement with that. And to be fair, that can sound a bit like an echo chamber up in here. Admit that's a possibility. But honestly, it's hard to say that that's very echo chambers just because it's just decency, guys. Just be decent. Be cool to one another.
And
you don't like it, you don't like it. Fine, whatever. Get over it.
No one's holding a gun to your head. And please leave the actors and actresses alone. It's not their fault you don't like something.
Yeah, you don't have to like what was done or what has been done or the decisions that have been made or even how they've acted. You do not have to like Kathleen Kennedy or her staff for how they've responded to people and the decisions they've made. But guys, it is what it is. You're just going to have to let it go.
And if not, it sucks to be you. It sucks. And life is way too short to be that negative. It really is.
Right?
If you live in a life where everything, that is your life, to just be negative about everything. Oh, I feel sorry for these guys that's all they do is look for the negative in everything.
Be good to one another. Oh, and there will be a Miles Morales Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on that.
Ooh, Black Panther is still playing at my dollar movie theater.
So, yeah. But we'll talk about the Spider-Man movie next week. I'm sorry we didn't touch on it. I can't talk tonight. Touch on it tonight, and we'll be back next week with more geeky goodness, hopefully. And, yeah, we got to get some other people on here. Maybe I'll talk to some people and get them on here. We haven't had Larry on in a while. Maybe he'll come back.
I've asked a couple folks if they'd be interested, and Badger didn't show up tonight, so sad face.
Badger's preparing to move.
That is true. He's got extenuating circumstances.
No Roland, but we get somebody on here. Get somebody.
Roland may, however, be working on something for the Geek EZ.
Cool. Get some fresh faces.
Yeah, and Tage at this point in time, he's been gone so long, he would be a fresh face if he showed up.
I miss the rainbow-colored penguin.
You know what we could do? We could change our show like once every so often, just to, I think a Friday night is when he's available.
That would be pretty difficult for me.
Or we could just get him fired and he could come back on Wednesdays.
There we go. We're going to sell your car. We're going to get Tate fired.
We need a female voice. We need a female voice.
I tried.
Well, we could. We're you going with the female voice is probably not going to work. We could try the elephant.
The trends. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That being said, we're past 2 hours. We're done. We'll be back next week,
Transiphant.
everybody. Thanks for listening. Transiphant. Yes. Transiphant. Somebody's going to get offended by that. You realize that, right?
I don't know how. I'm not. I don't want to know either. But if you have any bad things to say about what we were just talking about, by all means, we have means for you to reach us. You should do so.
Facebook, Twitter. Just look for the Geek EZ. That's the letters EZ at the end, not the word easy. And we're done. Say goodnight, boys.
I'm out.
Good night, boys.
Goodbye.
There it is.
I hate it when he does that.
He does it all the time. Really? Sigh. Did you actually see?
I said it, yes.
Is this like the Marvel after credits?
Kind of.
Just a blank screen with us talking?
Yeah, but no one sticks around for it.
Really? 5 years and they haven't realized that?
Yep.
What's wrong with these people? It's all the good stuff you made.
They listen to us. There's clearly a lot wrong with them.
Obviously. And